practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden symbols and messages, as well as all the lyrics of all the top rock songs. And they all sing the same refrain. It's fun.
This is a special request. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimilla, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another episode of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn.
And I'm your co-host, Mitch Shinasa.
And we are on our 50-something show. I don't even know anymore. It's over. My brain can't go that high.
It's over your age, so you don't have to know how to count that high, I believe is the rule.
60s now. 60s already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's when you're really old. When you hit the 60s.
52 was in October.
Okay. Well,
Damn.
I'm glad somebody's a mathematician around here because I can't add all those big numbers. Fours and fours. It's five.
Crazy. So today we have a little more serious of a show. Yeah. I did after that setup.
Did you like that? Did you like that?
Yeah.
It's like duet. There's a duet there. So
this is
episode
in stereo, brought to you in stereo.
Well, so we decided to revisit again a little bit stuff we touched on a few episodes ago with some friends of ours in the studio. We had Mr. Pinsky in the studio, and he got a chance to tell his 14 years of addiction story. And we thought we'd kind of come back to the whole idea of pain management.
Well, and in that episode, we didn't even get to go in depth into some of the more greater healing, and there's so much that's coming out in the news, and I think people are just like, what? It can't be good for everything. It can't be good for cancer. It can't be good for. I just saw yesterday promising for HIV/AIDS.
I saw that.
There's so much opportunity for healing that this plant shows.
Don't forget Ebola.
Well,
The
that one seemed a little
that,
bit far-fetched.
The imaginary thing that barely happened.
But I think people, not even necessarily in our audience, but out there in general, could use testimonials. So today we're going to have a bunch of people calling in, both patients and medical care providers.
Yeah, I saw when you put that out how quickly. I mean, responses came in, and they were all definitely good. Possible people.
It was honestly hard to. It was really hard to pick. So we will have an open call in for people who just want to testify in a sense and get it on record that this plan is helping them. And hopefully what we'd like to at least accomplish is have some practical advice for people dealing with similar issues.
Sure.
And that's why we brought Pinsky on, because when he posted, it seemed that the last time he was on, it really resonated with a lot of people who are going through a similar pattern, right? Mm-hmm. We also have Dr. Cohen coming on. Doc Cohen's a very excellent doctor in Boulder. He writes recommendations and is very into cannabis therapy, and he's going to talk about some of the patients he's helped.
Nice.
And take some questions from people about maybe how to deal with shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe if we're lucky, Dr. Alan Shackelford, who's down getting it passed down in Latin America. So he's in session with the government today, but if he can get out, he'll call in.
So he's in Latin America right now?
Yes. So he'll call from, I forget what country.
That's a very big
I know. And when you say Latin America instead of South America, it sounds like you're being like, I'm being more respectful and giving its due deference, but I don't know the country.
You're spreading it out even further. You have no idea. It's probably in Tijuana.
No, he's not. He's not in Tijuana.
That's it. That was as far as I get.
No. So, hopefully maybe Doc Shack will call in. And otherwise, I don't know, should be a good show. But we got some news first, so let's keep it lighthearted. And I forgot to start the timer while I'm derping around over here. I even made one today. So
that's why I don't make timers, because then I don't have to worry about forgetting them.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
You got to plan your mistakes ahead.
Well, we haven't been using the timer. We've been just kind of like free form for weeks, but I figured dial it in.
And remember,
timer.
We're still sticking to our call-in format.
Yes.
So it's 720-381-1420.
1420. And you can call in, talk to us, talk to our guests.
And then the idea is this, because today
we might have a caller calling in any second now, Chris. So be ready for that. Pinsky, if you're listening, we're ready after the news here. All right, let's run down the news because Pinsky's chomping at the bit. Okay, researchers working on creating a marijuana breathalyzer. There's a handful of people working on a marijuana breathalyzer right now.
Great.
Some have been at it for a few years, and others, like some researchers at Washington State University, are just starting. Per Oregon Live, Hill said he and WSU doctoral student Jessica Lameperson, who wants to bust weed smokers, are working on a handheld device that uses a technique called ion mobility spectrometry to detect THC in someone's breath. Right now, officers and prosecutors rely on blood tests to determine how much active THC is present in a driver's blood. Those test results aren't immediately available to patrol officers who suspect someone is driving high. I got a question, Chris. You might know the answer. Adam, you might know the answer. But I'm pretty sure they can't detect active THC. They can only detect THC metabolites, and that's the whole problem with the testing. Is that right?
And it's going to end up being in your system.
So, I'm sorry, news article. You lose. Adam, what do you got here? What is this? I voted. Oh, there you go.
Oh, I voted. I had one of those. It's the first year ever.
I know.
So Nevada marijuana legalization gets official okay for a 2016 ballot. And I think Nevada is going to be, like it's in the sights of being the most... It's going to be the biggest change to Nevada ever when hundreds of thousands of people are legally allowed to buy cannabis there, and I'm sure
that's where the cup's going to be.
I'm sure they're going to. Yeah, of course, it's so made for the cup, and I'm sure they're going to adapt quickly to that one. But basically, let's see. So, top election officials gave the go-ahead Monday for two initiatives on the 2016 ballot. One to allow recreational marijuana use, that's the big one right there. The other to tighten background checks for anyone buying guns from private sellers at gun show exhibitions.
Which I thought Nevada was pretty cool with guns. I never really got into guns in Nevada, but my understanding is that people who like guns like Nevada for it. So more weed, less guns. We can live with that.
I guess they reported they got nearly 247,000 signatures. Let's see. Nevada for background checks. Oh, those are background checks. The group needed 102,000 signatures statewide, or a little more than 25,000 from each of the state's 4 congressional districts. Miller cited that numbers of signatures are well beyond those numbers, and that's the nice thing is whenever they have, they give like maybe 6 months, and in the first month they're already there. You know what I mean? It's like that's when you know that the public really wants.
Yeah, this is going to pass.
And the great thing, for Nevada, it's like it's pretty much Reno and Vegas. The rest of Nevada will be definitely benefit from it. But as far as tourism goes, that is going to be,
or as far as voters go, right?
Yeah.
Like there's not much there.
Or as far as people actually moving there goes too.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big influx. There already is a huge influx and people always coming and going out of that spot. But now when you start adding cannabis tourism into the regular
Excalibur
tourism,
is going to be the best place in Vegas all of a sudden.
It's going to take a lot more than cannabis to make Excalibur.
Dude, they have that Medieval Times there. It's awesome.
I know you and
Medieval Times Jersey.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You guys haven't really moved out of the Medieval Times.
No, jousting is important to me.
So that's good. I like to see Oregon. I like to see Nevada come on this ballot.
All right, federal bill blocks funding for medical marijuana raids, but also blocks legalization in D.C. So this was like...
So what happened in D.C.?
Okay, so the Congress had to pass a bill to let it happen in D.C. They had to decide one way or another. So the House budget passed Tuesday night, and it prevents the Department of Justice and Drug Enforcement Agency from using funds to interfere with state laws that legalize medical marijuana. That's like awesome good news, right? But at the same time... Oh, and it protects... a section that protects industrial hemp cultivation.
That's good. A lot of land in D.C., right?
No, that's nationwide. That's a federal.
Oh, it's a federal. Oh, beautiful.
Right, so that's like Congress is saying like, hey, DEA, we're giving you this money, but you cannot use it to bust hemp fields or medical grows.
That's huge.
Yeah. But it also effectively blocked the legalization of recreational in D.C., but it does preserve the decriminalization law. Voters in Washington, D.C. overwhelmingly passed a recreational marijuana referendum on the November ballot, which is now effectively blocked. The district passed a decriminalization bill in April that will remain intact, it says. The proposed bill's appropriation section, which allocates millions in funds to the district, states none of the federal funds contained in this act may be used to enact or carry out any law, rule, or regulation, or legalize or otherwise reduce penalties associated with the possession, use, or distribution of any Schedule 1 substance under the Controlled Substances Act or any tetrahydrocannabinols derivative. All right, buddy, you got a minute. Scroll down. What are the health consequences of marijuana in the news?
None.
Ready? There are. It's really funny. Okay.
They're all positive?
Just read. I mean, they're consequent. They're the bold ones are just exactly what you know already.
So bold ones. Okay, so edible marijuana products are accounting for more emergency room visits. Well, that's because people don't have...
And look at the numbers. It shows the numbers, and you're still like, that's like less people than drink bleach.
Over the past 2 years, CU's burn center has seen 31 admissions for marijuana-related burns, so that's coming from oil probably, including multiple cases involving 70% of surface area. That doesn't say anything about... That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Let's see. Researchers have helped patients suffering from seizures and other disorders.
We know that, and we'll talk more about that today.
And let's see. Numbers of children who've accidentally ingest THC products is on the rise. Well, that's obvious because it comes down to when there's more excess.
There's more. But look still how few that is.
14 children. Is that what it says? 14 children have been into the hospital so far this year, and 7 of those were sent to the intensive care unit. Wow. For no reason other than just the fact that they were probably very, very small kids or something, and they had to really like pump their stomach.
Yeah. All right, let's do some shout-outs.
Shout-outs.
All right. Shout-out first to Way to Grow, our favorite place to buy, grow, medium supplies, and gadgetry.
Gadgetry, yep. They have
You could do it at their new store where?
Silverthorne, new shop up in the mountains there.
The mountains.
Pretty
Where's
awesome.
Silverthorne? Near Vale?
Kind of on the way. That's like...
An
It's
hour
not too far. It's
from
just
here.
over by Copper, right? Or something.
Oh, that's good. So go, hit the powder, as they say, I believe. Come home, grab your lights.
Pick up some newts on the way.
Newts.
Yeah. Don't forget your pH down.
pH down.
Oh,
when you're
man,
in
that's the worst
powder.
when you don't have that. You
Wow.
start thinking about vinegar and stuff. You're like, no, I can't do it. I can't do
I've
it.
done vinegar many times.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it worked well.
I'm not a big fan.
It's, yeah.
They have, 6? Now they have 7 stores now?
Yeah, waytogrow.net has them all, I'm pretty sure.
Deliveries possible.
Everything.
What's their special this month?
I don't even know.
Oh,
we'll figure it out and
man.
shout it later. Hey, how's about
Incredibles.
Dark Horse Genetics?
Dark Horse Genetics, our latest. That's one of our newest
Newest friends of the show.
and sponsor.
Sure. Way to blow it for YouTube. Thanks, bud. I've been talking around it for about a minute here.
You lasted a minute.
Dark Horse Genetics.
You lasted a whole minute.
Dark Horse
Our buddies,
Genetics
our
wants
buddies.
us to do a giveaway now.
Yeah, all right. We love
So
giveaways.
I'm going to go in my little seed bag here. Let's see what we got.
How are you going to do? We have to come up with ways to give it away proper. That's the problem.
That's the
it's
problem. That's
medium.
always the challenge. Go to the Dark Horse Genetics website. I believe it's darkhorsegenetics.com. And what you want to do is contact them and say you heard of them from the Adam Dunn Show. And Jason, you pick the winner. We feel bad doing that every time. All right, what do we got here that's real impressive? Chris, no, employees of the show are not eligible to win. You want to see. Banner lines from the man who invented the Bruce Banner itself. We got his Banner Lines collection. Boom, from Dark Horse Genetics. Go to darkhorsegenetics.com. Contact them and say you're with the Adam Dunn Show and you want to win a pack of seeds, and he's going to pick a winner. While we're giving away seeds, Greenpoint Seeds. That was Goo, who was down here last week.
Another buddy.
Another buddy of the show. Doing a lot of work with the Star Dog line and then a lot of sort of the more modern elites, like the Girl Scout cookies and such.
It's funny how Star Dog's just everywhere now.
Yeah, JJ's getting a lot of love.
Those other packs we got from the other alien guys.
I know. Alien guys, Area 51.
Those dudes. Yeah.
But this is Greenpoint's shout out right now. So again, check them out, greenpointseeds.com. And for them, I can tell you for sure, if you sign up for the newsletter on the website, you will be entered for a chance to win a pack of one of the ones that we were like, wow. Chris, what was that pack that you grabbed last time?
Tray or no?
Yeah, from Greenpoint.
It was cookies and cream and
Oh, you got the cookies and cream one. There was one that was like there was a monster cookie crossed.
monster cookies and cream.
Yeah, so there's great stuff out there. Check them out, greenpointseeds.com, or hit them up on Instagram. We also got to shout out Incredibles Edibles. You want this back?
No, I'm just laughing at it.
We also got to shout out Incredibles Edibles, Colorado's #1 edibles, infused treats, candy bars. How many flavors they got?
13, I think, or something.
That's
like that.
so many.
The newest one is the latte one.
Affogato?
Affogato.
Affogato.
I now I'll remember it forever.
It's like
'cause
Afghani
It's like I
gelato.
forgato.
Affogato, nice.
I'm like, I can't remember it. I was like, what is that called?
Affogato.
Affogato. Hey.
Shouts to Build a Soil, buildasoil.com, the best source online or anywhere really for exotic organic amendments, soil recipes, They're going to actually do our next show. We're going to have Jeremy from Build a Soil with Microbe Man.
Nice.
Compost tea, microbes, talking it all down in real deal science land. So check them out, buildasoil.com. Also link up with Build a Soil on Facebook. And of course, we got to give shout out to friends of the show, not sponsors, but just friends of the show. We should have Pinsky calling in about 10 seconds here. But definitely shouts out to seedsherenow.com. Our buddy James over there. If you're at the Emerald Cup and you're in the Hall of Flowers, go to booth 80, say Adam Dunn Show Forever to James or anyone there at the seedsherenow.com booth, and you get all packs of beans, $25. And anytime you see them, mention the Adam Dunn Show, and they'll hook you up, is what they've told me. And
Again,
on that
like we
note,
say, just say that everywhere.
On that note,
Everywhere.
we got Jason Pinsky, should be calling in any second. Chris, give me some. Yeah, all right. Adam, can you text Pinsky?
What? He's fine. He'll know what's up.
Call now.
Surprised he went first. He texts us when we're.
Call now.
All right.
I got it. I'm texting him. Talk on the microphone.
Okay, I'm talking.
Tell everyone about your trip to Oregon.
Oh yeah, Oregon. I just came back from Portland. It was closer to Dutch weather than I have experienced in a long time.
Who did you hang out with out there?
I was with TJ's, and they are killing the game out there with their organic cannabis. And I was checking out some of their gardens.
Did you hang out with any of our other friends?
Oh, we got him on the
Oh,
line.
Pinsky's on the line. All right, we'll hear the rest of the Oregon story
Yeah,
later.
sure. I was there with Mr. Freer.
Pinsky.
Talk about him after.
What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on, brother?
Good morning, good afternoon.
Yeah, how are you? So hopefully we didn't pause the timer, so you got plenty of time on your segment, boss. So let me line you up real quick. Jason Pinsky was on I think it was our season 1 wrap-up show.
The 1 year anniversary show.
Yeah, the 1 year anniversary, even better. And he told his story about, I don't even want to go into too much detail because he tells it really well. His 14-year journey, at times struggle with opiate addiction, and his escape using cannabis concentrates. And we were going to kind of, when I threw our question about today's show out online, that story seemed to resonate with quite a broad slice of our audience. So we were hoping that, we were very pleased to get him back on, I should say, to be able to share more details of the story and sort of maybe give some guidance to people going through similar things.
All right. Well, that's a good lead-in, Mitch. I would actually prefer to correct you and use the distinction between addiction and physical dependence to start with. You know, there's a host of people that are required to take pain medication under doctor's supervision, which is exactly the situation that I was in. The word addiction is so easily used and labeled, and especially for people who want to differentiate themselves from, someone taking drugs, purely for a euphoric effect, as opposed to prescription medication for a medicinal or for a medical condition, I should say. Addiction technically is when you are continuing, when you're doing something that's, a negative impact for your body or your life, yet and you're conscious of that, yet you continue to do it anyway. It's almost like a state of mind, whereas physical dependence, really is like, same way that a diabetic would be physically dependent on taking insulin. So opiates and OxyContin, which was the medication that I was on, does absolutely find itself on both sides of the fence as it relates to addiction and physical dependence. But it's important to differentiate between the two, because as a patient and as someone who has gone through this journey, which is a good way to put it, I never like to be labeled as an addict, and I can imagine that there's a host of other people out there that had been in similar situations to myself, or are currently going through some sort of physical dependence on a prescription pain medication that also don't want to be labeled as such. So I think it's important to start out with that.
Yes, sir. So with that well-made point, please.
That being said, for me, my story, I had always had a bad back growing up, and, did chiropractic care through high school and whatnot. But for me, my injury actually happened in, I think it was the spring of 2000. And I had jumped over a fence, and I had, in the process, compressed my disc between L5 and S1. And, as soon as it happened, it was actually, I was recording at the time for Medeski, Martin and Wood, and it was a show downtown, and I was like trying to get dinner at Katz's Deli across the street. And I could remember the exact moment because I heard the disc in my back. I felt it like on impact. And coming out of that, I went and got a cortisone shot, which is typically what you do. They'll give you maybe some Percocet or something like a low dose opiate. And the cortisone shot was really it helped. It's a steroid, so it helps to build the muscular tissue around where the injury is. But it really kind of gives you a little bit of a false sense of security because it doesn't really repair your injury. It just kind of is a temporary solution. So the cortisone was good throughout the summer, but then it was actually at a fish show in September of later that year that I don't know, the music was good and I probably boogied my injury to a real tear. And I distinctly remember after that show having it wasn't just localized back pain. I mean, when you have a low back injury, and in my case, I had ripped the tissue around my disc, and the sciatic nerve pressure was so bad in my left leg that, after seeing two doctors subsequently, both of them orthopedic surgeons recommended, that I get surgery. And, at that point, the surgery was a success. It helped me as far as my leg pain was concerned. But now at the base of my back, I had two vertebrae basically stacked on top of one another with no real disc in between them. There was a disc there, but it was deflated essentially. They like took the content out to relieve the pressure. So for me, it helped as far as the acute situation, but then it created a chronic pain situation where for the next 2 years, every day would be difficult as far as when you have an acute pain condition, it's like it might hurt for a short period of time, but chronic pain is no joke, man. And especially when it's to a serious level, it really comes in the forefront of your mind all the time. It really becomes hard to get on with your life because you're always thinking about the situation that you're in, and the pain becomes somewhat consuming. And after continuing to go back to my surgeon for, a year after surgery, a year and a half after surgery, he's finally like, look, man, you at this point, either I'm going to give you another surgery and fuse those discs together, which is something I didn't want to do, or you can get referred to the pain program at the hospital. And that was kind of the route I took. And essentially, those pain doctors, it's a tricky market, right? Because the doctors, the medical industry is, it felt to me like fast food medicine. You go into these pain programs, they, especially early, this is like 2002 now, these guys typically, were getting pressure from the DEA as far as writing prescriptions in terms of how much opiates they were writing across their practice. And, they would essentially under-medicate patients. And it became a problem for me because, I am a resourceful guy. I wanted to not, be in pain. And you find yourself, supplementing your prescription, and that kind of stuff happens all the time. And very quickly you see your dose, starting to increase. And it took a few years for me to be going to a pain program before I finally decided to, stop going to the hospital and stop seeing a doctor that was giving me 5 minutes. And I wound up with a addiction psychiatrist in the city who was able to help me stabilize my dose and then kind of keep it at an even keel for an extended period of time. For me, it was a motorcycle accident that happened in 2012. that was really the catalyst for change. I injured my leg. I required a second surgery now, and trying to anesthetize, an opioid tolerant patient on a second surgery becomes a complicated situation. And during my recovery, I found myself in a situation where I was, home for 6 months. My leg was injured and it was healing, but my pain medication now was starting to, it was at the highest dose that it had ever been. It was now at a higher dose than I had been on for the last, 12 years before that due to the second injury. And my weight was at a point where it was, higher than it had ever been. And here I am about 6 months before my 40th birthday. And really, when you have an accident, you're home for 6 months, it gives you a lot of time to think and to process, what really becomes important. And, you've heard me talk about, trying to identify my core values, right, in the past. Well, the number one, before, I figured out what I wanted to do for work, whatnot, it was really like, okay, I need to get healthy again and really start to change my life. If I looked at the weight that I was at, the dose of medication that I was on, and I was just about to turn 40, you have to ask yourself, where am I going to be at 50? And where am I going to be at 60 in terms of where is this path leading down? And so I decided to start to do research on medical cannabis. And, we had heard a lot of stories about how the endocannabinoid system was really, helping to help people regulate their health. And I wanted to do more research about it. And it turns out that, sometime in 2013, we really made a decision that I would be focusing on, doing research and also focused on really making my full-time gig, more about my health and trying to finally, set some goals as it related to my weight and as it related to my medication. So,
and at this point, I do want to cut in for 1 second. And as you reach this point in talking about how you began to treat yourself with cannabis, I want to open up the lines to any callers that want to call in, because, as I said, this did resonate with so many people, and some people seem to have questions. And we want to make that available right now. And the number to call in is 720-381-1420. We're here with Jason Pinsky, and he's talking about treating opioid dependency with cannabis. So, Jason, at that point, when you made the decision that you wanted to, after this, exhaustive research and journey with your therapy through pain management, how did you decide to make the decided to make the decision? How did you move to cannabis concentrates? What brought you there, and how quickly did you realize that was a solution?
So my goal when I set my mind to it was basically to try to lose 100 pounds and try to be 100% opiate free. And I've been a cannabis user for the most of my adult life. At that point, 2 years ago, about 25 years at that point. And I had not seen, we're old school. We would roll joints, and that was like I wasn't really tied into the concentrate scene in 2 years ago because it really didn't exist to any degree here in New York. But once I started to get my hands on some extract and started to discover, vaporizing extract and concentrate, it really started to change my perspective because it gave me a different, more of a therapeutic impact than, my historically, I would smoke, joints throughout the day. And essentially it's like, moving toward extract and concentrate, I found that I was able to use a lot less and get way more of a therapeutic impact
Yeah.
over that time period.
Otherwise, you're like grazing all day. It's like kind of like
It is like grazing.
it's like you can't get enough nutrition out of grazing. You need to eat a big old.
That's why they call it grass, I guess.
Hey.
Called it grass.
Grazing, bro.
So for me, it was really starting to look at cannabis extract as a medicinal product, and one of the first things that you start to think about is how is this made and is it made safely. So I started to really do a lot more research on lab testing and residual solvent testing. And when you start looking into the lab data, you start really seeing all the data in terms of what's the cannabinoid profile and the terp profile and what's the residual solvent tests say. And, it really started giving me a lot more of a scientific viewpoint on cannabis and the chemical compounds within the plant. And from that, it really led to me starting to get a detailed understanding of the endocannabinoid system and how, vaporizing extract and especially a fully decarboxylated product, a fully activated product, has more of a therapeutic impact on the body than what you might get from smoking a joint and, a partially decarbed flower, right? So from that perspective, I went to a medical conference in Portland earlier this year. It was the Patients Out of Time medical conference, and really got a chance to interface with the research community and started to get a better understanding of how the endocannabinoid system helps to modulate pain in the body. And there's
I think
a ton
hopefully
of
Dr.
research.
Cohen, who we have coming on next, will be able to explain a lot of that from a hardcore medical perspective. So it's great for you to line it up, from a layman's perspective.
But, look, the data started to suggest that people that were increasing their use of cannabis concentrates, extracts, edibles, and other full spectrum, cannabinoid therapies were able to significantly impact their opiate usage. And here I was going through the exact same thing. And I knew that, most people, if they're trying to get off the medication, they'll check themselves into a 30-day or a 60-day rehab program. And, that wasn't really in the cards for me. And it wasn't really necessary for me because I knew that I needed to align my weight loss with my pain medication reduction with tapering off the pain meds. And, for example, when I first set my mind to it, I started to get off the pain meds rather quickly. But the problem is that I've got an underlying medical condition. I mean, there's a reason why I was on this medication to begin with. So, until I was able to take the weight off my gut, I didn't want to reduce the pain medication, too quickly. And then plus the flip side of that is when you're on this stuff for 14 years, you don't want to just quickly get off and send your body into a toxic or into some kind of tailspin. I wanted to look at this process rather as something that would take, probably about a year, and it would coincide with me wanting, with me losing the weight. And that's kind of exactly what happened. But toward the end, I was actually able to use my iPhone and set up a few timers. And the real way to do this, and if there's anyone out there listening who, would like some advice on how to, really set up a structured taper program, what you're looking to do is you're looking to take the same dose every time at a timed interval. So let's say you have 10 milligram tablets. If you take those tablets every 2 hours, then you're looking at 120 milligrams, per day, right? And if you do that for 3 days or 4 days, you want to find yourself at a dose, whatever you're used to taking, stabilize at that dose, and then figure out a way to chop it up into into multiple hour segments. So if you start taking your medication even every hour and you stabilize on that for a few days, then you can increase your timer from an hour to an hour and a half. And you do that for a few days, and then you increase it to every two hours, but you're still on the same 10 milligram dose. And what that's doing is that's called a timed taper. And essentially what you're doing is you're letting your body slowly adjust to taking the same amount of medication, but you're spreading out the time interval over time. And essentially, that will sometimes work according to schedule. Sometimes it won't work, and your body will start to react, and you'll start to feel, chills, or you start to feel light withdrawal. So you may have to actually adjust the schedule accordingly. But throughout that process, and especially you don't have to do the time taper really seriously until like the tail end of when you're trying to get off. And I was fortunate in the sense that, this year I had an amazing opportunity with High Times to judge 6 cannabis cups for concentrates. So I found myself in different parts of the country throughout the year with access to high-quality concentrate and extract.
Did you find any difference? I did want to ask you, and we had as a question, did you find any difference between whether you were using a high THC concentrate or a high CBD concentrate? Did either of them affect the process in a surprising way more than the other? Was there any specificity, or were concentrates in general, I guess, high THC effective?
So to answer that question, Mitch, I've tried to D all of the above all of the time. So I got my hands on some of the transdermal patches. I got my hands on some of the CBD, THC.
So
CBD
while you
pills,
were very carefully dosing down on your medication, were you keeping track of the cannabis usage, or you kind of were just going all out as much as you could?
You know what? I was trying. I mean, look, you have to really understand that being here in New York, there's also a limited supply as well. It's not like I can run with my red card to the dispensary.
Of course.
So as much as, and I'm also trying to start 3 different businesses right now. I mean, there's a host of reasons why I would, wanted to treat myself to a full spectrum process. But during the day, I definitely loaded more up on CBD medication. At night, I definitely loaded more up on THC. And then throughout the day, a healthy complement of vaporizing extracts and just keeping my head straight like I normally would.
Yeah.
And also found that, I tried to use, especially during the last set while I was coming off, it took about 2 or 3 months of timed tapering and really, focusing on the timer on my phone. I was pretty active in terms of like trying to make sure that I, took about 100 milligrams of a maybe a 2-to-1 CBD to THC capsule during the day, maybe another 100 milligrams of a 1-to-1 capsule at night. The Mary's patches, man, at sometimes I would have like 4 on each arm, but I think I'm the exception in that case.
And hang on one second, Jason. We do have a caller on the line, and I just want to bring them into the conversation.
Cool.
Who we got there?
Yeah.
What's up? This is Burn MD from Gorilla Healer.
Oh,
Hey, Bert, what's going down?
MD.
Bert MD, what's up, homie?
How's it going?
Good,
How
good.
are you?
Nice to hear your voice. Good.
So,
Likewise.
Bern, I don't know if you've been listening or you're just calling in, but our man Pinsky was telling us about how he
Pinsky, is that Pinsky on the phone? Okay, what's up, bro?
So obviously he's not
What's
been
up, Holmes?
listening. So Pinsky's been talking to us about how he had tapered down his medication dose, his opioid medication dose, and how he was kind of managing as he was in that final sort of time taper, how he was managing that with cannabinoids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So please go ahead, Pinsky, and then we'll bring in. We got about 7 minutes left in the segment, so we'll bring in Bert on the tail end of that.
Cool, man. No doubt. At the end, it was tough because, especially at the tail end, sleeping was tough. Even now. So just to kind of fast forward to where I'm at now. Today's day 61 that I've been 100% opiate free, and it feels different on my body. I'm sleeping a lot less in general. Coming off the medication, there was a lot of restlessness Actually, the THC and some of the CBN pills and whatnot were really good because, one of the withdrawal symptoms that you get, in addition to your body feeling hot or cold, and because I was doing a time taper and I was doing it slowly, I never experienced nausea, vomiting, like uncontrollable shivers, like nothing like you see on TV or when people go cold turkey. I mean, I wasn't trying to do that to myself, right? But you still, you ever lay in bed sometimes and you feel like you've like energy, you feel restless, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of body temperature issues during that last time. So, as much as you want to talk about high CBD content and high CBD medicine, having some high THC content. I mean, at the time, I think we were rocking the clear raw times holy water dabs, and that's good to help. And this is the other thing about, we joke about DTFO, right? But the funny thing about, a vaporizing extract and in high quantities, you don't get necessarily the same warmth that you might get from opiates, but you definitely get that, can get that same sleepy effect. And it's, without all the baggage that comes associated with it. So I think, one thing that, deserves to be addressed is the fact that a lot of people who are under opiate therapy from a doctor, or even people that are using heroin to catch a high, while cannabis extracts are have a great therapeutic impact, and they really help in terms of how much pain medication you need and how the body modulates pain, they also provide a really great euphoric effect. And that for me was something that I was definitely psyched about without having to deal with the physical dependence that comes attached to opiate therapy.
Sorry, Mitch got choked up.
I got choked up on it. All that talk about concentrates, I had to take a dab. They cut my mic.
Yeah, I took one too.
So
I was going to say I need a dab, so somebody else better pipe up first.
Well, yeah, please go ahead. There's a big slab practically I dropped on the desk there. It was like the worst dab ever.
But it wasn't that big.
I know, I'm a rookie. Dab rookie. Sorry. Damn.
I have dental surgery in about 20 minutes, so I'm definitely dabbing right now.
All right, well, Burnt MD.
So there you go. You're pre-medicating. You're pre-medicating.
That's
your little pre-medicating.
Great intro. Well, one thing I did want to leave on the note with Pinsky before we switch topics, because we got about, call it 3.5 minutes left. Adam was talking before the show, the idea of using concentrates to move off even a serious, like opium, heroin addiction is not far-fetched.
Not at all.
It's very realistic. Go ahead, say what you said, bud. It was good. It was good. It was a point.
I have no idea what I said. Of course,
that there's like a psychological. Junkies have like a psychological.
Oh yeah, because of the rigs. Because everybody's got the same. It's the same terminology. You got a rig. You got your gear. Sometimes it gets a little bit messy, a little bit sloppy. You got to clean shit up. You got to keep
your
everything in
wax
check.
paper. Your pack.
You got
your
your
bundles.
wax. You got your little wax bindles. It's like it's so kind of weird.
What are you talking about?
There's a lot of associations. No, there's just a lot of associations because a lot of the stuff is just like it's. I mean, to the average person, they look and they go, "Oh my God, what are they doing? Smoking crack?" Because they see torches.
Indeed.
And everybody's thinking
and
back
from a harm reduction perspective. Like if you're really out there on dope.
But
it's a lot fucking safer.
But then the other cool part is that you get a whole new community that are actually cool people compared to your community that were ripping each other off and being horrible. And, so it would definitely be you kind of have to have all those things because I think those, the one thing about junkie behavior is they have.
All right, Burn MD has to go to the dentist.
Oh, yeah, go to the dentist. No.
You got 2 minutes, Burn.
Enough about junkies.
2 minutes. Holler at us.
Hey, it's true, though. It's good stuff.
Yeah, rehabilitation through cannabis is definitely something I'd like to see through Gorilla Healer. Just FYI.
Yeah, well, we definitely
have a padded room and everything.
Are not strangers to that. In fact, my cousins place people into rehab, people who can afford it and who cannot. I work with a nurse who works at the Colorado Cannabis Nurses Association as well as the American Cannabis Nurses Association. She specializes in auricular acupuncture, which is great for opiate addiction recovery, and I call it acupuncture, and it's pretty amazing. So yeah, I definitely think that cannabis is a healthy way to taper off and potentially even get healthier as just a plain old human being, as opposed to somebody who had an addiction to a substance.
All right, so Bernd, we got about a minute left for you, and then I believe we have another caller that we're bringing on.
Cool. What would you like to talk about?
What would you like to talk about? You called in, buddy.
Rehab, that's a good one, right?
All right. Well, I would like to report that a little 4-year-old girl with leukemia who's been unconscious since Saturday, who I posted about on Facebook.com/GorillaHealer. She just woke up today. Her mother was going to call in, but they're a little bit busy right now running tests, and she's been on cannabis oil for 2 days, and today she finally opens up her eyes. So it's a wonderful day, and it's a good day to have this show too. So I'm glad you guys are putting out the awareness.
So can you let people know how to be in touch with Gorilla Healer and what Gorilla Healer does? And I'm going to stretch it. You got 40 seconds.
Sure. Gorilla Healer is a 501c3 nonprofit charity out of Colorado, and we donate natural care to life-threatening to patients with life-threatening ailments, low-income patients. And you can contact us by emailing us at help@gorillahealer.org. That's GUERILLAHEALER.org, or go to Facebook.com/GorillaHealer and check us out.
And if you guys want, you can reach out to us if you missed that somehow. If you don't have a pen, you can't write it down. Reach out to us the ways you usually do: YouTube, comment, Facebook, whatever, and we'll put you in touch with Gorilla Healer. They're an excellent organization that's really helping a lot of people. And yeah, we're actually really proud of seeing the direction Bernd's taken in the years we've known him. We met him as a rapper, and now he's fucking actually like saving people's lives. Pretty fucking awesome.
I've never been a rapper. I've always been an MC.
Okay. All right.
But you guys have a great day.
You too, brother.
And, hey, good luck out there. Hopefully we can talk to you after a few days, right?
Yeah.
What are you getting done? Something big?
Well,
man. You're getting a big grill? You're getting a whole new grill or what? You're getting a big mega grill, right? Gorilla grill.
I just want to help people, man.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.
Well, let's talk soon. Peace.
Be well.
And I believe we hopefully have Dr. Cohen on the line.
Yes, you do.
Dr. Cohen, thank you for your patience, and thank you for calling in.
Joe Cohen?
Who else is on the line?
It's Pinsky, man. I know Dr. Cohen. What's up?
Pinsky, you're just listening on the line.
Good to
Jeez.
hear your voice.
We know each other from interesting days.
So, Doc Cohen, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us how you got into being the cannabis doctor who was recommended to me of all people.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, basically, never thought I'd be doing this in my lifetime, but I was practicing as an obstetrician gynecologist for years. I've delivered thousands and thousands of babies. That was my former life. Went and traveled to New Zealand, practiced medicine there, and when I got back, couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, so I got into the back of a dispensary one day a week while I was figuring things out, and then started becoming interested in cannabis medicine, and that was 5 years ago. So I've been practicing different types of medicine. I do what's called functional medicine, which is all about nutrition, lifestyle supplementation, and how to prevent disease, looking for triggers of disease, and working with nutritionists and exercise physiologists and body workers and acupuncturists and all of that. And on top of that, I do a lot of medical marijuana evaluations with our patients. So we kind of combine the functional medicine piece, the nutritional aspects and everything else, along with the cannabis medicine, which is an amazing medicine that I've been in touch with now for the last 5 years.
And I'm sure, I mean, I don't know what was the mindset when you came to it. Did you kind of, I don't know, I know I personally, when I first heard about it, I was like, man, this is the best scam ever. We're really pulling one over. Like, they think you're sick. You can get weed because you can tell them you're sick. And then I saw someone with MS smoke and like completely temporarily relieve their condition, you know.
Yeah, basically, when I first started out, I knew absolutely nothing, and unfortunately, there's still a lot of docs who are in the mills here today who know very little about cannabis medicine, but are recommending to patients, just giving them their card when in fact they're not really educated on how to use it as a medicine, which is frustrating. So I've kind of self-taught. Jason and I met again at Patients at a Time in Portland, which was an excellent conference. And then there was another conference here in Denver a few months back, on September 11th, around there, where we learn more about cannabis medicine. And I read and read and read. I'm actually writing a book, the Cannabis Friendly Guide to Wellness, which is a functional medicine book, talks about how to stay well, and then every chapter is going to have how to use cannabis for different medical conditions.
And that I think that's a good tone to kind of set up. I do want to let people know that whenever you want, kind of in 5 minutes or whenever you want, you can call in and Dr. Cohen will answer your questions. I think that functional medicine concept is something that, like, we kind of general wellness that Adam and I vibe with, right? Like I don't really like going to the doctor, and when I'm sick, I kind of just try to not get sick.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure. Oh, I mean, I live in Amsterdam. Right. They don't want to. In Amsterdam, even though you have medical, it's kind of like, it's because it's free, not free, but pretty
socialized.
Much socialized. You kind of feel like you're going to a car place or something like that. There's no
mechanic.
Yeah, you just kind of go like, if you're really sick, you go in. It's just like a car, like when your car's really bad, you don't bring it in. I hear some little jingle jangle. I can deal with that. It'll fix itself. Kind of the same.
So, but I mean, in general, eating right and living a healthier lifestyle, I think resonates with our audience. So I think,
basically what I see in practice is I see really sick people. And I see patients who've been failed by our medical system for a very, very long time, because you go to the doctor and the average patient spends 7 minutes with their physician. That's a well-known fact in this country. That's a valid statistic. So, I spend more than that with cannabis patients, but we try to approach everything. We try to approach how they got into the situation they were. And many of these patients, like Jason, have become addicted to whether it be narcotics or benzos or whatever, and they're coming because they're tired of it. They're really not happy with just going to a doctor and being given a prescription. And what we see are people who get sicker and sicker and sicker, and they're looking for an alternative. So when you combine functional medicine, you can get to the root cause of disease, and then you add cannabis, which is a natural plant medicine, to that. The results are quite amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the good thing about what we like about cannabis is the balance that it kind of creates in our life, where it makes, when I don't have it, my appetite's a little bit out.
It is all about balance when it comes to cannabis, because it's interesting that in medical school we don't learn much of anything about nutrition, if at all. And even though we've known about an endocannabinoid system for 20 years, I don't believe the endocannabinoid system is taught in any medical schools. There may be very few exceptions to that, but generally it's not even discussed, and it's one of the most important regulatory systems in our body. You talk about balance. Well, that's what cannabis is all about. The reason we make 2-AG and anandamide and the cannabinoids that we produce ourselves, and all animals do, the reason we make it is for balance and homeostasis. When our system is out of whack, we produce cannabinoids to try to balance everything and get it back to normal. That's why it's such an amazing drug.
Yeah, no, and it's the other thing that we all love is the fact that a lot of us, gravitated towards this thing on its own and kind of had our own feelings about it, and like even against the law, going against the law. Some people living in places that are crazily, like it's so much that the fines are so much heavier than anybody.
Beyond fines, penalties.
Yeah, penalties, fines, jail time, all the things that people have gone through, and yet people still go for it. And then and it's very subtle, and the subtleness is the best part. I mean, and that's the whole reason I like it.
Exactly. So you've got probably the best that I'm aware of body-mind medicine out there. You have a medication that you can take that's a natural plant that we're wired for, because we have the system that's been built into us for survival forever. You have this natural plant out there which can do so many different things, and it really does balance out our system.
So can you explain briefly, in about 5 minutes, what the endocannabinoid system is and how it functions in the body?
Sure. Basically, and a lot of people are probably aware of this, but about 600 million years ago, primitive forms of life developed an endocannabinoid system. They start producing their own cannabinoids, which is the same substances, the medicinal part, along with the terpenes, of course, the medicinal part of the cannabis plant. And we developed this whole system, and through evolution, all animals have an endocannabinoid system. And the reason is for balance and homeostasis. So we have what we call CB1 receptors, and mostly in our brain, but in other parts of our body. We have CB2 receptors in our immune system and other parts of our body. And it's a balancing act between all these. When we're dealing with CB1 receptors, they have an affinity more for the different cannabinoids, especially THC, because that gives us a psychoactivity. And when you have CB2 receptors, it can help with your immune function and that may be more involved with things like your cannabidiol. So we have we have probably now about 100 different cannabinoids and probably around 200 terpenoids in this plant, which all kind of have a symbiotic relationship, and they work together. I call CBD and THC the yin-yang. It's the balance between the two that is so effective when you're treating many medical conditions. So what happens is we inhale or we ingest or we take it through a patch or through a tincture or whatever. We take this medicine in, and it goes to these receptors, and it binds to these receptors like a key and lock because we already have those receptors because we make our own. So the plant gives us more of this medicine, which is actually produced on demand. You don't have a gland in your body that produces your endocannabinoids, your 2-AG and your anandamide. You don't have a gland that does that. The cells in your body produce them when they say they need them.
Really?
Wow.
So, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
because I was wondering.
Produced on demand. And
by the cells,
they're
then
very
what part of the
short-lived.
cell makes cannabinoids?
All cells make cannabinoids.
All cells in your body can make cannabinoids.
Yeah, your body makes cannabinoids when the cells feel like they're getting a little bit out of balance. You want to produce these cannabinoids to try to balance things out. Let me give you an example in the brain. You have nerve fibers throughout your body. We'll use the brain as an example. You have these nerve fibers or neurons, and then there's a space, we call it a synapse. And all your neurotransmitters go in one direction through the synapse into the next nerve fiber and on and on and on. Cannabinoids work in a different way. They are the only cannabinoid that essentially go retrograde in reverse direction through that synapse. So when you have a hyper situation going on, it tries to slow it down. And when you have a hypo situation going on, it tries to speed it up. And that's the simplistic way to put it, but it's, I think, something that everybody can understand.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So that's part of the whole balancing act. Whatever part of your body cannabinoids are working, it tries to balance things out. So that's called an adaptogen. In functional medicine, we call that an adaptogen. An adaptogen is an herb or a substance that tries to put everything into balance.
And do you think, like, going back to simplistic ways of looking at it, like when you're awake and running around and doing stuff, certain systems are shut down because they can't really function because they need you to be calm and relaxed to do those things. So, but when you sleep is when you heal, obviously, like how people always look at, like, let them heal, let them sleep. So,
when you sleep.
And at those moments, maybe it active, then they're like, they know to be active or something. I don't know, something like, is that simple?
Well, I'll give you another example. That's true. I'll give you another example. Let's talk about autoimmune disease, which is kind of an area of interest of mine. I see a ton of patients with autoimmune disease who are using cannabis as a medicine, and it's the ideal medicine. So you can have a hyper, quote unquote, hyper immune system, such as in an autoimmune disease, where you have these antibodies floating around, and your system is trying to destroy itself. That's what autoimmune diseases do. So you can have a hyper system, and the CBD part of the plant particularly actually helps modulate that. It helps bring down that hyper system into a normal activity. And when you have a hypo system, such as, say, in immune, we're talking about HIV/AIDS or other immunosuppressive diseases, you can have it help build things up. So it tries to bring everything into balance, whether it be with, and that goes through a whole variety of different medical problems that people have. But it's why it works so incredibly well for autoimmune disease. You've got receptors in your immune system that are CB2 receptors that respond very well to your cannabinoids, particularly the CBDs.
So
And,
I had another question, and then also I
yeah.
do want to open up again to the listeners. If you guys
Sure.
have questions, call in 720-381-1420. I hope people are listening. Are there people in the chat room? You guys know all this stuff? Because I'm finding out. I didn't realize every cell made cannabinoids. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, your body is just wired for this.
That's so crazy. Okay, so then that kind of maybe like in an atom way, in a very basic way.
Yeah, super basic.
Well, it's just how you look at things in principles, right? Like in the principle, I'm getting it, I dig it. But so in practice, right? A lot of people are very skeptical. I don't know if you're familiar with like the Granny Stormcrow's MMJ list, but I found this list. I had a doctor friend in New Jersey. It's actually my parents' friend, a really well practiced, respected, whatever physician guy. And he asked me, like, is this real or is this bullshit? And I luckily had this list, so people can Google it. It's Granny Stormcrow's MMJ list. And I dropped it on him, and it's like 800 pages of links to studies. You know what I mean? For everything across the spectrum. So the question becomes from everyone, how does it really heal everything? How does it really fix everything? So can you explain that?
Sure. I can explain how it partially fixes everything.
Or affects, deals with everything.
And that's one of the misconceptions out there, by the way. I have patients who feel that cannabis is the answer to everything, and it's partially the answer, and that needs to be made clear. It's just like when you see cancer patients, and if you listen to Donald Abrams, who's a cancer specialist when it comes to cannabis, he'll say you never tell a patient not to use chemotherapy if their oncologist recommends it. You always say you can use cannabis in addition to your chemotherapy, even though I've seen things in my own practice that are loud and clear telling me that cannabis can be a chemotherapy agent in and of itself.
So you have seen anecdotal evidence that cannabis can put active cancer into remission?
Sure. It works with different types of cancers. I can't make any claims because we don't have the human trials.
Right.
We have animal studies, we have in vitro, but we don't have good human trials yet. But we do see enough as physicians in practice when you're practicing cannabis medicine and you're hearing things from patients, because I get patients who call me from all over the country, but you hear things from patients like my oncologist is speechless because my stage 4 tumors in the lung are shrinking, and the only thing I'm doing is using cannabis oil. And you hear this not from one patient, you hear it from several patients. You start to say, well, this isn't coincidental, this is anecdotal, there's no human trials. But when you have enough anecdotal information from hearing from patients, from seeing things that you never would have believed, because I never would have believed this 5 years ago, but this is what I'm seeing.
Right.
So we see that it has an effect, but we never want to claim to patients, and I never use the cure word. I tell patients right off the bat, it doesn't cure cancer. We can't make the claim that it cures cancer. But there's a lot of people out there who feel that it cures everything, and that's not exactly true. You have to use it in conjunction with, functional medicine, lifestyle, looking for triggers. You have to use it in nutrition. You have to use it in conjunction with other medications, possibly other surgeries at times. But it's in conjunction with, and by itself, it may have tremendous benefits that we're going to find out within the next few years.
And it's certainly compatible, it seems like, with
and I think also like once the dosages are pretty clear, the accessibility's there, and people have a chance to catch things early on and not wait until it is stage 4 and wait until it is at the end of their their last hope. You know what I mean? If they can actually start to have better access, I think we might just see major reductions in the numbers, and then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, now we're going somewhere. You know?
And a question I also had, Doc, that I get a lot is people say people outside Colorado who may be dealing with cancer and can't necessarily get high CBD cannabis, and they're part of the rush. And as an aside, we want to talk to you because we're doing a project to help some of those people out, and hopefully we can some of those people. Hopefully they reach out to you. But that said, does it matter, or for cancer treatment, which is does it matter if it's THC or CBD? Which receptors, the CB1 or CB2? Both.
It's both, and I'm a firm believer. And every time you go to a conference or you really delve into it, the research, what you find is that it's the entourage effect. It's the THC, the CBDs, other cannabinoids that we're just learning about. It's the terpenes. It's the whole entourage effect. So if you extract, as an example, I know a lot of people are doing this, and there's a lot of companies out there that are making CBD only extracted from hemp stalks or whatever, and it's just not as effective. When you don't have all the terpenes and you don't have the THC and the other cannabinoids, you're really losing a lot of the effect of the plant. So it's not just one part of the plant; it's the total plant, and it's really the balance between THC and CBDs that works so well for this. I usually recommend not just for chemotherapeutic value, which I can't claim, but also for autoimmune disease. We have Sativex, which is made by GW Pharmaceuticals out of the UK, available in European countries and New Zealand and Canada. Sativex is a 1-to-1 ratio, a whole plant, high CBD, high THC for MS treatment. Well, we figured that out here in Colorado along the same time that GW Pharmaceuticals was figuring it out and came out with a drug. Well, they've done all the studies to show how well it works in a 1-to-1 ratio for MS, which is an autoimmune disease. What we're finding in our practice that it works in a 1-to-1 ratio great for all autoimmune disease, not just MS. It could be rheumatoid arthritis or you name it, fibromyalgia, a whole list.
Interesting.
So we're learning more and more, and I hate to bring the pharmaceutical industry into it because I have a lot of concern about what they're going to do. But we already have GW Pharmaceuticals done a lot of the work.
Well, I was going to bring up like how on a reverse side, people kind of already knew this from trying to get high on Marinol and realizing that it wasn't the same as smoking it. That was like kind of creepy and weird, and it wasn't even fun. They were like, "This isn't
not particularly fun.
This isn't really fun," And so I think in a way, it's like if they had a little just boost of CBD with that, then they might have worked psychoactively also for them better too,
or terpenes.
There's of course no terpenes, but I think even it would have been more like a big heavy dose and it would have worked actually. It's just needing that little activator, And
well, that's the great part about the whole thing about THC and CBD combined. When you look at THC, you have to be careful about recommending your high THC sativa dominant strains if people have anxiety issues because it can cause anxiety or panic attacks. Whereas if you give a little bit of CBD with that, it just totally corrects it out. And that's part of the yin-yang that I talk about between the parts of the plant.
And so we've gotten two questions in, and I wanted to pass them on to you. The first is in regards to MS and using cannabis to treat MS. If Sativex is obviously in the States, it's not available. In Colorado, especially not available. What would you make as general broad recommendations in your experience?
My broad recommendation is to get a 1-to-1 tincture because they're available all over the place. Easy to get. You can get a 1-to-1. You can get like a Harlequin or a Gumby or one of the 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, somewhere in that range. 1-to-1 is just a general.
Yeah.
But you can get a fairly good balance between THC and CBDs. You need that immunosuppressive quality of the CBDs. You need the THC for pain relief. They work so well together for spasms, pain, and inflammation. So you need a good combination of both. And I usually recommend tincture 3 times a day, morning, late afternoon, in a 1-to-1 ratio. And then at night, I usually will recommend something different before bed. If there are sleep issues, sometimes CBDs actually can keep you awake. So that's some information we learned at the last conference here in Denver, that they're finding that CBDs actually may keep people awake. So we recommend an indica-dominant strain that's not high in CBD before bed so that people can get restful sleep.
That's great. And the other question we had was in regards to Crohn's disease, because I've heard a lot of anecdotal evidence in it being very helpful, life-changing for Crohn's.
Now, Crohn's is another autoimmune disease. And by the way, very, very important. I want to bring in a non-cannabis aspect to this. What we found in our practice in the last 5 years has just been astounding. We were checking our patients because we had so many autoimmune patients, whether it be Crohn's or MS or fibro or whatever. And of these patients, we were testing them for gluten sensitivity. And what we found, and this is from research I had done previously, what we found is that just about almost every patient who had an autoimmune disease was gluten sensitive. And now there's all kinds of information out there about how gluten sensitivity actually causes autoimmune disease. Alessio Fasano is a pediatric gastroenterologist out of Harvard who's done a tremendous amount of work on this. So we now realize there's triggers, and so if you eliminate the triggers of disease, you improve the condition so that maybe you don't need as much cannabis down the road. Maybe you do, or maybe you want to use it recreationally, whatever. But the bottom line is we have to combine everything together. So when it comes to Crohn's, you're talking about a nutritional approach. You're talking about a lifestyle approach to all of these diseases that we're talking about. But cannabis for Crohn's is again, it's an autoimmune. We're getting back to that 1-to-1. You
Doc,
can
I think that's a good
with
point.
edibles or inhaling or any other method.
And is in the case of Crohn's, is edibles sort of like applying it topically, as it were, any more effective or better?
Not really.
No?
Not really. You're going to get a systemic effect no matter how you do it.
And what about, and same with MS, for all autoimmune, there's no preferred method necessarily as long as...
No, I think that's patient-specific. You've got different times, you may want to you may have to go somewhere in the afternoon. You may want to inhale in the morning because you know that you're only going to have about a 2-hour effect, whereas if you did an edible, you may not be able to go anywhere later in the day, especially if you get too much. You got to realize that edibles, you're converting delta-9 THC through absorption through your GI tract, and then from there it passes through the liver, and delta-9 turns into 11-hydroxy THC, which is a different compound. And 11-hydroxy is about twice as strong. For some people, it lasts twice as long, if not more. So not everybody has... I have patients who actually do edibles and have absolutely no effect. They can do all the edibles they want, and it won't affect them at all. There's a lot of variability patient to patient with edibles.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I'm always cautious about starting people that way. I usually want to go with tinctures or possibly inhaling or patches, patches don't always work for patients. I find it probably works for about half my patients. The other half, it doesn't get absorbed very well.
And there's a lot of right now. Juicing is also a big subject too. Are you familiar with?
Oh yes, juicing I think has a lot of promise.
Yeah.
You have Dr. Courtney out of Southern California. He's been talking about juicing forever, and he's the juicing guru. Juicing leaves, you're getting there's no psychoactivity. Yeah, you get THCA and CBDA and CBGA. You get all the acid forms, and the THCA is not non-psychoactive. So if you can get the juice, and this is a problem for patients getting the juice, when I recommend higher plant counts, it's because I'm recommending juicing. That's one of the main reasons to really increase somebody's plant count when they come to the office, because if they have cancer, as an example, we believe that juicing raw cannabis may have anti-cancer effects. We know that it has anti-inflammatory effects, and a lot of patients who juice have a sense of well-being. We also have some colon therapists, believe it or not, here in Boulder, who actually are able to get the juice, and for Crohn's patients are actually giving them juice per rectum to get directly on that topical aspect. How well that's working, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's Boulder, hey.
And not everybody's up for that one.
Yeah, that one's
Well,
hard one to
on a
convince
similar
everyone.
note, I have seen or had a conversation as far as like prostate cancer. I believe I've seen is like very responsive to cannabis treatment, and in that case, sometimes a topical or I guess like a suppository treatment is effective.
Now, when it comes to brain, prostate, and breast, those three cancers we believe may actually, and I'm sure there's more, but people talk about how cannabis works for cancer, and there's three different ways that we believe it works. One is called apoptosis, which simply means your body destroying the tumor cells. Two is angiogenesis, which means that you're decreasing the blood flow to tumor cells. And the third one is by turning off a metastatic gene called an ID1 gene. And they believe in those three types of cancers, which includes prostate, it may actually be affecting that ID1 gene and preventing spread. So these are some of the theories that have been coming out. There's a guy by the name of Sean McAllister who's done a lot of work with the ID1 gene. So yeah, prostate, you may be able to use it topically, but I think the systemic approach is you're going to get absorption per rectum, even with rectal suppositories. So you can use it that way, and I think that might be effective. But
Would that be
don't know
different
of
than
any
consuming it orally because it bypasses the liver?
When you do it orally, it passes through the liver. When you do it rectally, you get minimal of that effect, because there are rectal suppositories that some people will be able to get.
Yeah, they're definitely out and about here. I've definitely seen online. That's what brought it.
Yeah, there's a question about how well it gets absorbed, but you're going to
Pinsky's got
probably
the
have
angle
more
on
of an
those.
effect for prostate in the area, I would think.
Right on, Doc. Well, we got about 30 seconds left of the segment. We want to thank you so much for calling in and sharing your insight and answering our listener questions. We'd love to potentially have you back on the line when we revisit the topic.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
All right. Let's take this time to shout out our homies. We'll try to get it right this time, Adam.
Way to
Shout
Grow.
outs to the homies at Way to Grow.
Way to Grow. 7 stores, newest one in Silverthorne. Biggest one is down here at Platte River, 1501 Platte River. That one's also got Concentrate Corner. We can get your latest.
Tell me about Concentrate Corner.
You can get all your concentrate gear there,
What do you mean by all your concentrate?
like
gear?
ovens and thangers and wangers. Thangers and wangers. No, they can have all sorts of. They have gear for. They have silicone.
Silicone mats?
Yep, silicone mats and inside inserts and what's going on over there?
My mic's getting floppy, dude. You can't talk while I'm fixing my mic.
God, oh my God, what's going on over there? Well, yeah, but everybody can see it. It's like it's
all
right
right.
in the
I'm
camera.
fixing my
They're like,
mic.
what is he doing?
Talk, bud.
Floppy McFlopster.
All right, you can get all your concentrate making supplies at all the Way to Grows or just the
No,
Platte
just
Valley?
that Platte River one. That's where I was expressing that address. 1501 Platte River.
1501 Platte River. And check them out at waytogrow.net. Find out what this month's sale is, and we'll look that up before the next time we shout that up, and my mic's falling again.
Oh, my God.
All right, shout out to Dark Horse Genetics, the creators of Bruce Banner. We're giving away a pack of their Banner line seeds, unreleased.
Bam, bam.
Yup.
Alex,
So
don't drop the mic.
the Banner line's obviously their house line. It's Jason Hulk, who was at the Delta 9 Caregivers shop out here in Denver. Now he's doing Dark Horse Genetics. Check him out, darkhorsegenetics.com. If you want to win that pack of beans, that's the Banner line by the guys who made the Bruce Banners, and you can come get them in Colorado and you're over the age of 21. You just hit him up, darkhorsegenetics.com. Contact him through the website. Let him know you heard about him on the Adam Dunn Show, and you'll be entered to win. I'm pretty psyched on those beans. I'm glad we have 2 of those packs. I think we have 2 of those packs.
Oh,
Right?
the banner line?
Yeah.
On the bottom.
Yeah, there's one. There's one. Cool. Yeah, we do. I'm psyched on these. Dude, I love the Bruce Banner. It's like always gets the job done. Shout out to Greenpoint Seeds, who also has been breeding with the Bruce Banner. Been breeding with the Star Dog male. They have quite a bunch, and then they have a monster cookie, not to be confused with the Cookie Monster male. But some real shit, man. It's Yeti OG F3 brought back to
No, not the. I'm not talking about Dark Horse. I'm talking about
I
Greenpoint.
always cook these things.
Sorry, get with it. It's MK. It's Sage. There's 2 strains in the world if you smoke with Adam. It either tastes like MK or it tastes like Sage. Don't be disappointed.
What if it's
These Greenpoint seeds. So he's got a Star Dog mail and the Monster Cookies mail, as I said. This one's interesting. Cindy, so it's the Spider Bite V2. So that's Cindy 99 White Widow crossed to the Super Silver Haze F3. He crossed that to the Monster Cookies, which is the Yeti OG F3 mail hit to the Platinum Girl Scout Cookies. That sounds pretty tasty. You can definitely win some Greenpoint seeds if you go to greenpointseeds.com. Subscribe to the newsletter.
Do they have to throw a code in or just subscribe?
You just got to subscribe. That's all.
But you can still throw
That's
a
all.
code
He'll
in.
know. You can type Adam Dunn Show everywhere you have a chance.
Yeah, try.
Also, shout out Incredibles Edibles, Colorado's #1 edibles, banging bars of all sorts. Great stocking stuffers for your above 21 friends and family, right?
Perfect size. They slide right in.
That's my favorite.
Boom.
My favorite.
Just to make sure there's no
stuffer.
fire going on.
When
Otherwise
there's a
they
fire
melt.
berry in my, I've actually had a melted Incredibles.
You don't want to have it next to the fire.
When I get a fireberry bar in my stocking, it's awesome. That's great because I know what I'm doing Christmas Day. Not very much. Also, shout out to Build a Soil, buildasoil.com. They will be presenting next week's episode with Microbe Man, which is pretty awesome. I can't believe that we have both Clackamas Coot and now Microbe Man on the Adam Dunn Show teaching us about organics. Microbe Man being the expert on compost tea. Build a Soil is going to be carrying his compost tea brewer, and you know if it's coming from Jeremy at Build a Soil, it's going to be a really good value and good quality.
That sounds like a Christmas gift right there.
That's probably an excellent Christmas gift. Maybe we could put together a pack.
That's a super Christmas.
Also, we got to shout out the boys. Oh, that's real good, Adam.
She really wants one.
We got to shout out our boys over there grinding at the Emerald Cup.
When's it started? It already started.
It started, man.
I mean, I saw how many.
Did you see the picture of the jars, dude?
Oh my god, was it like 30 pounds there?
I don't even know. I heard there were over 700 entries.
I know, and every jar was filled, and they were bigger than that. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
that's wild. Also, big up D-Nail. Huge respects to D-Nail. I was going to bring it in, but I didn't get a hold of you to tell you to bring a rig. You brought a rig. I didn't bring the D-Nail. We'll work it out. But they sent us a pimp-ass email.
Oh, yeah, with the sapphire.
With the sapphire insert. Boss shit. All right, now it is the open call-in part of our show. We got a caller. Boom. You see that? You see how my mind works? Welcome, caller, to the Adam Dunn Show.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good. This is Bill Short over at CB Scientific. I was calling you about the success I've had with CBD and gout. As a potential call-in. If that helps you guys.
Everything and everything. Lay it on us.
Hear it all.
Testify, brother.
The exciting part is that 4 months now I've been off of any pharmaceuticals for gout, and typically it's the type of thing where if you eat food that is high in purines, such as beer or shellfish or scallops. I love scallops, but 4 months now, and then utilizing mostly CBD oil, and doing it with dabs on a daily basis. I've been completely off all pharmaceuticals and have not had a gout attack at all. And I've drinking beer, I've eaten food that would normally throw me into a gout attack. And here the exciting part is I'm walking, I'm not crippled, and it's thanks to CBD. And my son came to me, right around April of this year, and said, "Dad, you really got to look into this. The Chinese emperor was given cannabis by their medicine men 2,000 years ago to alleviate gout. You ought to check into that." And I've been battling gout for 20 years, almost 25 years, and none of the pharmaceuticals really did a good job. It was just get me through from attack to attack. And then, now that I've, moved from Florida to Colorado and have the ability to have access to stuff on a daily basis, until I establish my residency, I'm still going to do it through a rec. But, I can testify to you, brother, that, it works. I started to have one little twinge a while back and took the dab of the CBD. It was about 25 milligrams or 0.25 milligrams of about a 40% concentrate, and within 3 hours I was pain-free again.
And so you're finding that CBD is a major part of relieving your gout more than THC, or using them in conjunction. How's that work?
Now you have to. It seems like you have to use them both. I mean, a lot of the research that I've been reading is that the THC unlocks the endocannabinoid receptor so that the CBD can do what it does, and because they typically are counteracting each other or working in congruently, if you're taking 20 milligrams of CBD, it's going to offset 20 milligrams of THC. And then obviously, being here and doing more and more, I mean, I'm building a tolerance for the THC, but you need the two to work together. And that's the thing that kind of scares me about all these various states out there regulating low THC, high CBD, because they don't understand the science of how the two have to work together. And, being a former pharmaceutical rep myself, spent 5 years repping drugs to doctors and understand the dosing and potency and knowing all that and documenting what I'm doing and making sure I can keep doing what I'm doing so that I can then share it with other people what the successes are, since there's not enough research about it. That's my own little, part to give back, saying, this is what's working for me. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, and that's the thing, is it's also person to person, so it doesn't guarantee, just like the doctor said, we need to express that it doesn't guarantee it'll work for you, but it definitely worked for you and your dosage.
Yeah, there are people who it's worked for, and it's important to hear from them, I think, at least, right?
Exactly. And then also it's interesting to see that you're doing it via dabbing, which is because it's like you're obviously flooding, like massive dosing, where you maybe had CBD strains back in the day, but it didn't work. You know what I mean? Because you smoked for the whole 25 years, I assume, right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's not like you just started smoking and figured it out. You didn't just figure this out all of a sudden, like, hey, this smoking stuff's pretty cool. But no, you've been smoking the whole 25 years, right? And you never noticed any kind of connection between cannabis
no, because I was in the black market that people weren't testing the potency, didn't even really know what was in it.
Right.
And, there was probably stuff in other states where I didn't have the ability to know how much CBD was in there and thought that, I enjoyed it, but it didn't do anything medically for me.
Yeah.
Now I know that it does something medically for me, and I can, being in Colorado or being in a medical state, you've got that ability to do the things that help you medically and medicinally, and it's a godsend. It really is.
No, it's really cool. It's good. It's a definitely good story, and it shows like why we need to have concentrates on this market because of the because of the medicinal value first of all, but also because we know this stuff is harmless in massive doses. The only thing it can do is become more effective in a good way. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, there you go. Massive doses actually is going to probably make you figure out that it worked for something you already had and didn't know. And that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a great story. So we definitely want to keep the lines open for other callers. You can call in 720-381-1420. I know a bunch of people had hit me up on Facebook and said they wanted to call in and share their stories, and we would love to invite them to get more testimonials on the line. I mean, it definitely affects a lot of lives. There are a lot of lives that they think their lives are condemned to living with some condition, some extreme discomfort to the point of like really putting you out of your life, and cannabis in some way or another can make it better again, dude.
I can testify that's the case. I appreciate you letting me have the forum to talk about what it does for me, and I will continue to preach the gospel of CBD and THC and how it will help not only gout and epilepsy and the other things, but I mean, it's ultimately going to solve a lot of the world's problems, and that's why I'm here and doing everything we do every day.
That's why we're here too, my man. I'll tell you that. Well, right on, brother. Thanks for calling in.
Good shout for CB.
And I believe we have another caller on the line too.
Hello, guys. What's up? It's Aaron.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's happening?
How you guys doing?
Good, man.
We're good.
Oh, turn down your radio, please. And I think we have another caller on as well. All right, so we have like a party line here. I think we got two people on. So we got Heirloom, and who else?
Yeah, I got a new friend of mine calling in with a great story real quick. But just get out of the way, congrats on your book, Mitch,
Thanks, man.
your new child. And Adam, congrats on that new big beard, man. That thing is growing large. Anyways, yeah, I really like what that doctor had to say. That was a great segment. And thanks for the Crohn's shout out. My brother has Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, and we've gone through numerous phases of non-successful treatment, but we're going to look at cannabis treatment. But wanted to just call in on CBD work and progression on what we've done. And the caller that's probably on their line has a good story to tell.
Cool, man. Well, let's. Now we have another caller on the line too. We're stacking them pretty deep here, so we want to thank you.
What's going on, Mitch?
What's going on, man?
Hi. Nothing much.
All right, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Third caller. I heard a female voice on the line. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll switch back over. And if you can hang on, and then we'll hear your story.
Okay, yeah, my name's Carl. What's up, Adam? What's up, Mitch?
What's up, man?
Yo.
I was just calling in, telling my testimony on the whole epilepsy.
Yeah, talk, man. We're listening. Man.
Yeah, man. I've been dealing with epilepsy for like over 15 years, and in Georgia, I was taking Lamictal and Depakote, but when I moved out here, that's one of the reasons why I moved out here is to get my hands on CBD and to get into cultivating and to growing my own medicine. So CBDs has really helped me. I'm like almost 4 years, I think, seizure free.
And that's been since you've been able to introduce CBD. And are you dabbing, or you're just or taking tinctures, or you're pretty much just smoking?
Yeah, everything. I mean, of course I was burning down in Georgia and everything, but yeah, I'm a firm believer, man. Because there was times where I had quit smoking cannabis back in Georgia, and I was having more frequent seizures. And, my whole family was against it. They were like, you go to jail, because it's illegal. But I wouldn't listen to them because it was like every time, I smoked, made me feel better.
Sure.
So they've obviously seen you seize and been,
Oh, dude, yeah. Now they're like totally open-minded about it. They're always calling me, asking me how I'm doing. Because I'm finally in the industry, and they can't believe it. They're like,
now they're believers. Well, that's what we're trying to do with the show. Collect more testimonials and make more believers. So on that, I want to thank you for calling in, and we're going to keep it rolling on to the next caller who's been patiently waiting. Thank you so much for the call, Carl.
All right, buddy. Y'all have a good one.
You too,
bro.
Later.
We still got the other caller.
Do we still have our other caller on the line?
Oh, yeah, I'm on the line. Got a couple of them, I think, here.
2 more callers on the line. Okay.
Let's go first to
ladies first.
Ladies first.
Yeah, even though it's second.
Lady is a friend of Heirloom's.
Oh, right on. Well, please go ahead.
All right, yeah.
And someone has to turn their speakers down.
So my story is actually an epilepsy story as well. So I am 23 years old, and I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I had a seizure in my kitchen last January. So it was totally sudden and unexpected. Totally took me in the middle of my undergraduate education. I'm actually a neuroscience student. So, no idea what was going on there. My brain kind of fucked me over there. But,
So how did you decide to use cannabis to treat your epilepsy? Was it accidental or was it intentional?
Well, I hadn't really ever used cannabis before then. I had done kind of like the white girl, smoke on the weekends thing, but I had done some research and had really found that CBD had actually had some good results, and the results were really quite promising, especially with the GW pharmaceuticals. What was it called?
Sativex?
Sativex?
No, it's Epidiolex.
Okay.
It's for Dravet syndrome, and actually they have two other drugs that are called, it's GWP 42006. They're in trials for adults, and they are actually pretty hard to get a hold of. They have trials in NYU, but I'm actually way out the hell in Western Massachusetts, and I can't get a hold of them. So after doing some research, I found that it's pretty easy to dose yourself and get 200 to 300 milligrams of vaporized CBD, even with flower, as long as you have, a high CBD content in your cannabis. So I got in touch with Heirloom, and as long as you have a sustained, ability to have CBD, you can really get a good result with even flower, as long as you're vaporizing it.
And on that note, Heirloom, you're still there, yeah, bud?
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, man. So I guess now's a good time to announce, right? The weekend before Christmas, we're going to do our big CBD giveaway. We want to pull together, anyone who has any CBD anything to give away. B, anyone who needs CBD, who's currently using it, or is curious to talk to someone about using it.
This is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
I don't necessarily, if you're a caregiver, please bring your patients, because I really want them to be able to interact directly with other patients. You know what I mean?
That's great.
But if you got CBD beans or whatever you got going on, holler at me offline, and we'll figure out a way to bring you in. I know Dave from Elite, who's sponsoring the OG Gnome project, had also reached out to me, and he's going to be contributing. We're going to reach out to all our friends who have provided CBD to us before and kind of collect it. All our seed breeder friends who are listening, if you do a CBD line, I talked to you about this already. Now's the time. I'm putting out the call. Hopefully you're listening on the line. Reach out to me. We'll figure out how to get everything here. We want to provide as much CBD to these people as possible, kind of surprise on the holidays. So hopefully we're not blowing it by putting it out on the show.
Yeah, it's a great gift, and big ups to Dave at Elite Cannabis. Those guys do incredible work. They inspired us to keep going too. But absolutely, we'll take you up on that offer. And mostly, our CBD work is donated. It's donated for free to patients that we see. Trial runs of the flowers, and we're working on capsules and concentrates of it at the moment. And yeah, but basically most of our CBDs, or the lowest THC content we've had is 9 to 10%, and they're all up 15, like I said, to about 22. So we've got incredible meds, and it's, even the flowers work good, but we're going to concentrate them even better and extract as much CBD as we can into something maybe you don't have to smoke or vaporize. But the flowers work really good. We've gotten, like I said, people have painkillers, post-traumatic stress, also depression, even it's helped with one patient. But yeah, we'll definitely take you up on an offer, of course.
Right on, brother. Well, awesome. Anyone else who's out there listening wants to call in, share their story, ask their question, give us a shout, 720-381-1420. I heard I don't know if that was an air horn, which is exciting. Murphy Murray's in studio now. She made it 20 minutes.
This show is making me cry.
This
has been a weird day.
Miss Murray, is this how you were in class? Did you show up like 20 minutes before the end of class every?
No, I committed to fully not going to class.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess we can feel.
No, so I had talked to Burnt yesterday about getting some people to call in, and posted some stuff on the Gorilla Healer page. And on my way in, someone had called me, and I just ended up in this like hour-long conversation with this mother talking about, treating her son and how hard it was, how much money she'd spent trying to figure it out, and how she didn't have any help. And in doing that, I was talking to people on Facebook to try and find who's got some legitimate medicine to quit,
That's what
making
we're
this
doing.
be a problem. And it's just
all you had to do was show up.
It was
we
so
had it right
crazy.
here all along.
So we've been just heart to heart in on how important cannabis is as a medicine. And
we got a caller.
Oh, we got another caller on the line.
it's so wonderful.
Welcome to the
Hey, you guys
Show.
have a good day. It's Heirloom, and thanks for the call, and it's a great show so far. You guys have a good day.
Thanks,
Okay, cool.
Heirloom. Peace. We'll be in touch, man.
All right. Definitely talk to you later. Bye.
Hello, welcome, new caller.
What's up, guys? This is Eric. Talked to you a little bit earlier, Mitch.
Oh, right on. What's going on, Eric? So you're a caregiver, I believe, and you deal with a multitude of patients. Is that correct?
Yeah, man. Been working with Ashley Weber a little bit and a few other people, MS and cancer, and just been making oil for a while and seen some really great results for sure.
What are you finding? I mean, if you're going to give general recommendations to people, the biggest question I get, I don't know if you're finding it, Murphy, Adam, I don't know about you, but is not from people in Colorado who can go to a dispensary and ask the questions. It's not from people who have access to all different treatments options, but it's people out there in the rest of the country who can maybe get their hands on a pound of herb if they're really lucky and pay a lot
or they
of
get
money.
some bad information about how to process it.
So what would you recommend, as a treatment method from your experience? Obviously you're not a doctor. Obviously you're just a guy who's tried some stuff and seen some miracles happen. So what with that said, what do you think makes the miracles?
Truly, everybody's talking about CBD and there's all these different strains and whatnot, but I think it really comes down to true organic medicine that's grown with love. And when you have a plant that's grown with a lot of good energy, that energy will go into that person. So that's kind of the goal with some of the work that I do. But on top of that, I think it's also trying to get as much oil into the person as fast as possible in the case if the person has cancer.
Now, how would you have them ingesting that oil if they're in a situation where they can't necessarily be firing up a rig?
I highly recommend when I speak of oil, I'm speaking of the Rick Simpson oil.
Yeah, why don't you talk about? I'm glad we're not calling it RSO, but you're only calling it that to reference it. So what do we call? We call that black oil. Yeah, that's what we call it? So
yeah, cannabis oil.
Sure. Can you tell people? First of all, naphtha is bad. We say this as often as we talk about the subject. Real quick, if you're going to use it, how do you make it? We got about 10 minutes left in the show. I think it's a great time to let someone who's doing it and working with patients tell people, if you're willing to share it, your process, the dosages, and your experience with it. You got 10 minutes and take it away.
Okay, so, if you're trying to make oil for yourself, how I've done it since 2008 is, real simple. You could stir it in a bucket if you have a large amount. And I'd say use only food-grade white plastic if you're using plastic. Preferably, you want to use stainless steel. Take your product. You want to use heavy indica or CBD. You want to use the best product you possibly can, especially if you're making cancer oil. So take your product, put it in a strainer. Make sure, I like to freeze it overnight beforehand. Freeze your Everclear is my solvent of choice. And freeze your product. Freeze that overnight, and then I would pour the Everclear through the product and stir it for a while. Maybe stir for 6 minutes, and then strain. After straining, you would cook it down with no flames, preferably outside. I like to use a cheap pancake griddle, which is like a scientific hot plate, and you put your oil mixture with your Everclear into a Pyrex dish. That Pyrex dish sits on top of your hot plate, and you can evaporate this off with no flame.
And yeah, we can't stress enough that alcohol vapors are completely explosive and flammable. And don't light a lighter. Don't really do this inside. As a matter of fact, don't
do this.
Don't do this. Don't do this. But if you're going to do this anyway, this is how you do this.
This is how you do this. Please do not smoke around this. Be very careful. The reason that caregivers do this is because people do blow themselves up, and you do have to be very careful. But if you come out with a good product, I do believe this is the best medicine on earth.
Like if you come out with it, if
you come out the other end.
And I would say, two things on that subject. One being that having been able to do a lot of tests with extractions, especially extractions with alcohol, a lot of people, just because it's like metal and shiny doesn't mean it's stainless steel. And there's, it's very easy to have like a metal that isn't going to be compatible with your alcohol. So glass is
we have another caller on the line.
preference.
And other caller, if you would just turn down your speakers because we're getting a little feedback, and we'll bring you in
Yep.
1 sec. Sorry, Murphy. Go ahead.
So glass is a little bit more reliable as being a very safe container for what you're using. But separately, when you're using glass, you've got different issues with heat. And what I like to recommend, rather than trying to heat some Everclear.
Someone still has the show on their speakers. Please turn your speakers down. Awesome. Fixed.
Thanks.
Nope, not fixed. Fixed? I don't know.
Fixed?
Murphy,
Testing?
sorry.
No, you're fine.
So use glass instead of
use
stainless
glass.
maybe, but with heat.
But without heat, I like to recommend that people use actual ethanol. Ethanol will evaporate at room temperature.
But
it's
you
gonna
can't
take
get
longer.
ethanol everywhere, can you?
You can get ethanol online, so you can get ethanol anywhere.
So where would you go buy ethanol online? How much does it cost?
You can literally buy ethanol online on Amazon.com. If it comes in a glass bottle, then that's how you'll know it's what you're looking for. I like to rep the Science Company. They're a local company here, and they're cool science nerds. But you can get it online, and you don't need very much. It'll evaporate at room temperature, so you could instead leave it, on your back porch with cheesecloth over it for a week and save yourself the effort of needing to worry about your heat source or, proper ventilation. And it's a little bit more
So if you can't get
safe.
ethanol for whatever reason, you have Everclear. That certainly works too.
And if it's summertime, Everclear will evaporate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just recommend Everclear because it's readily available. If I had a choice, I would prefer organic alcohol and make the whole process organic or organic ethanol.
Exactly.
If we had some organic hemp, if anybody wants to hook that up, make some organic hemp ethanol, that would be the ultimate.
Someone should definitely.
Hey, you guys, this is Doug. I'm sitting here in the background, but I just want to make a comment about the Everclear. I'm a chemical engineer, and you just want to make sure with any kind of alcohol solvent, you're going to have a little bit of a, like in Everclear's sake, it's 96% pure. You've got 4% of other stuff, mostly water, but there's also some grain left in Everclear, so you're going to get a little leftover inside your final product that way. So, I mean, if you can find the most pure solvent you can find, you're obviously going to come out with a better product.
And that will be the ethanol in the glass bottle will be closer to that direction. Is that correct?
Yeah, and the grape alcohol is also very good, but it's
grape
hard to get,
alcohol,
very expensive.
And you can get
And
it.
I completely agree with him. I don't think Everclear is the very best. And if you can find a cleaner product, that would be preferable. And on top of that, you can also use distilling techniques to clean the alcohol, which takes a little bit more equipment.
Yep. So let's bring Doug on. Doug's been hanging out in the background patiently. We want to actually let you kind of introduce Doug. Hang on the line still. We got 3 minutes left. Let's do it all together, guys. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, my name's Doug. I called in. I kind of off subject here. I talked to you via email about some of the strain search stuff you guys are doing. So I was just calling in, but I don't have a whole lot with the
Oh, that's right, Doug. I remember who you are now. Right. I want to thank you for calling in, man. Yeah, today ended up being a medical episode, but thank you for chiming in and giving me some solvent knowledge. That was kind of a cool surprise.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely great you get what you guys are doing with the just letting people speak their minds about some of the stuff and the results they're having with the medical stuff. Because I mean, I'm a firm believer that cannabis is the ultimate medicine, and as a user myself and seen a lot of other people who were in need medically, they've found that this is really the way for most people to be able to medicate without having the risk of addiction and all the other things that are going on with most of the over-the-counter medicine and the prescribed medicine that's out there. So I think it's great that you guys are out there kind of supporting it and letting people voice, what's going on, because there's not as much research on this stuff as there should be. So
right on. Well, I do want to tell you, Doug, definitely Google. This is the biggest research trove I've seen. Granny Storm Crow's MMJ list. You'll find it. You'll just find the 2000. They do one every year. Find the 2014 list. It's the treasure trove of knowledge. And I want to definitely get you back on the line the next time we talk genetics, which I do not think will be till the new year, but I'll shoot you an email. I apologize for being less structured with it, but things have been a bit hectic.
No worries. I just wanted to just ring in here and just listening in the background. As far as the chemistry part of it, I don't think that anybody can stress enough that you should really have a pretty good idea of what you're doing before you go boiling any volatile substance, alcohol included, or any of the other solvents. Most of the stuff that's going to be that's going to actually dissolve the THC and cannabinoids is going to be flammable. So you got to be very careful about how you go about it.
True that.
Yeah, thank you for spreading the word. That's the call that I got earlier today. Was someone tried to make their own RSO at home. They used Everclear and they poisoned their child.
Whoa.
And so it was like it's so disappointing for me. That people try as hard as they can, and with bad information, they can do something really dangerous.
And that's what happens when you have to make your own medicine too, when you're in an outlaw
right.
medicine situation. So we have about a minute left. I believe we have another caller on the line, and then we got to start wrapping her up.
I just wanted to make a quick comment on my own story of what I've experienced using CBD oil.
Sure. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm a 25-year-old cancer patient. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 2. With the help of a very generous and kind person who has been on your show earlier today, he has donated all of my oil to me, and I've been taking it consistently for, I believe, 6 months. I was diagnosed in April of last year, and I am already in remission.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow. 6 months.
6 months of taking that, along with, of course, all organic diet, special teas I was drinking, and other stuff. Really do your research, and I highly suggest to everyone out there, anyone who's listening or curiosity, to please do your research before you decide on doing chemotherapy, because you can do this without it. And I'm living proof, and I will be making a video to contribute to help spread the word for my caregiver, and just for the knowledge of other people as well, that it is possible and you can do this.
And can you tell us about your dose in this? And obviously that's some intensive treatment.
Yes, he started me off with, I started off with about a half a grain of rice. And
of
3
black
times a
oil
day.
you're talking about, or of like shatter or hash oil?
This is black oil. I
Black
eat
oil.
it.
Okay.
I ingest it.
Okay,
I eat
perfect.
it.
So
This is all high THC cannabis oil.
Okay.
Yes. And, I slept for the better part of like 3 weeks until it gets into your system. And then after that, we got up to the point where he just told me to eat as much as possible a day. We were getting as much into my system as fast as possible. And I got up to, he was actually even impressed. I could eat about 2 grams a day.
Wow.
That's a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot of oil.
And what I got to the point where I started doing it was mainly towards the night, so that, because like I said, I'd sleep the better part of the day if I took it in the morning. So I got to the point where I started taking it at night, and then it also helps with, I got to the point where I had lack of appetite again. Depression, that kind of stuff kind of sets in sometimes. And so I noted that, and I started taking it half my dose in the morning and half of my dose at night. And I've noticed that it causes me to eat and to just have a better, even mood throughout the day versus when I just take it all at night.
That's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, like, this is the sort of call that you hope you get when you put the call out to get, like, you never know if you're going to get a miracle story. Because I hear it too, but I've never heard a personal testimony by surprise like this. So that's, and so the oil you were on was a high THC black oil.
This was, Glenn, I'm listening to you right now. So I love you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on here still?
Yeah, it's good to hear your voice.
So can you tell us a bit more about the oil? So it was a high THC oil. Was it decarboxylated if it was taken orally, or it was just the raw?
Let me tell you the most important part about this oil. It was grown with no bottled products, with teas only. And it was grown in the Colorado sun in a greenhouse.
Nice.
All of this was made from trim that had a little bit of popcorn in it. And I ran this through, and love, and we ran this through a really simple machine that I use. And I processed this and made sure that there was absolutely no Everclear left in the oil.
What kind of machine were you using, by the way? For those of us who do have access to cool shit like that?
I would say, check out RanierDistillers.com.
Okay.
Was this dry material, or did you extract it when it was fresh, since you were doing alcohol?
This stuff had been dried, some of it over 6 months.
Okay.
And it's a strain called Aqua Kush. And Aqua Kush has some bubblegum in it and some other sativa of unknown. It's got dark purple leaves, heavy indica genetic, pure organic. And according to what Rick said, that's what it called for. I don't agree with everything that Rick says, but, I followed some of his instructions and just found the very best organic bud I could find. And I truly believe that's the answer.
And so the black oil, well, you basically, once it's all evaporated and reduced, you're left with the black sticky oil. And how much does it take in the case of treating something like a cancer? How much was put into that batch? Was that just one run, or you kept running it regularly, or how did that work?
So I like to run my product at least 3 times. And from what I'm told, you can remove 99.8% of all cannabinoids through this process, and that's lab tested. My recent lab test that just came out of this black oil is 75% THC, and that's all the info I know. I'm trying to get a little bit more, but yeah, I think it's important to decarboxylate fully for at least 20 minutes. I like to hit a minimum of 180, 200 degrees. Sometimes I max it at 250, and then make sure before it all dries that you're, pulling it up into a syringe so it's easy for the patient to use.
Right on. And do you mix it with coconut oil, or you just do the straight up oil? I've seen it kind of both ways for different people.
Some of my patients like to do that, especially for suppositories or, other ways of using it. But I just like to make sure that I'm providing a really pure product. And once again, everything that I made was given away for free.
Dude, that's what especially greenhouse grown. Like, that's what we love to hear. That's awesome. So please feel free to be in touch if you want to be involved in any way with the CBD giveaway holiday thing we're doing. We got about 4 minutes left, even with our wrap up. So we do have to cut off the callers, which unfortunately is something we never like to do. So we got to bring this subject back, I think.
Please send us a message on Facebook. Leave comments on YouTube, though. Share your stories, especially on YouTube. Other people.
You can put up a video comment on YouTube, right?
It's
once we get back on YouTube,
network.
which we're trying to do.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for calling in, and thank you guys all for telling your stories. We would love to, again, meet you in person at our CBD event, so please contact us so we have your contact info. And likewise, we'd love to be in touch in the future when we bring this topic back up, because we think it's really important to have.
It'll have to come back up if we do this project.
Well, of course.
Bam.
I know.
And
for sure.
We just feel the more voices we can get out there, the more, we kind of just throw the phone number out there. We don't even know who's listening.
Yeah.
The more random calls we can get with the more varied gout. I didn't know gout. Lymphoma in 6 months. Come on. You don't expect those calls to come in, and they do, because it really happens, and it's kind of mind blowing. I don't know.
And it's what changes people's minds. I can't tell you how many people, like in law enforcement, for example, that I talk to, that they change their mind about cannabis because someone they know it saved their life. And
Sure.
so if we all just talk about it instead of hiding it and put the information out there,
Definitely.
more people will have access.
Definitely. Adam doesn't care because he's so infused with THC. He doesn't even get so much as a cold. I've never had the chicken pox. I don't know.
Neither have I.
Really?
No.
Is that true?
It's true.
Dude, you got to get the vaccine before the kid gets it.
Just get out of town.
Are you fucking kidding me? We're going to get shingles. You're going to get it and I'm going to get it. Are you serious? You've never fucking had chicken pox?
No. I'm going to kill everybody.
No, I've never
We're
had
all
it.
gonna
We're
be
going to get
itchy
shingles.
and
Are you
scabby
fucking kidding
and
me?
I'm kinda
really
itchy today.
uncomfortable.
No, stop this.
got all
Are
these
you
little red
kidding
spots on
me?
his
Up your
face.
cannabis
Is that a
dose.
problem?
Do we still have a caller on the line, Chris?
No.
Lines are clear.
Lines are clear.
I want
Good.
to throw something in real quick because we talked about the solvents and because it just was a crazy weird day for me about the solvents of people trying to do their own infusions out of state without good access. And Doug touched on it too, that, there's that water content in the remaining alcohol. So water boils at 212 degrees, but your cannabis starts activating at about 170, 175. So a lot of people try to stay below the 200, but if there's alcohol that's bonded with that water, that moisture content, you have to get it over 212 degrees for that water to start evaporating, because water...
Unless you have a proper equipment, right? Because
Right,
a vacuum.
right. A
it'll come
vacuum
out.
can help, but you've got to be able to give it that little extra bit of time to get the water out. It's what's gonna prevent
What's going on?
crazy bad horror stories like what I heard today about someone ingesting a huge amount of raw alcohol,
Which is not
unexpectedly.
okay to ingest.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
so
terrible.
you've got to really be careful, and if you don't know how to do it, ask somebody for help.
Yeah, but there are plenty of reputable caregivers. You can reach out to us at the show, and we'll do our goddamnedest to put you in touch with someone. I know this is asking for an avalanche of contacts, but like I said, if you're anywhere and you can provide people with CBD and you have some track record and experience, we'd love to put you in touch with people and kind of create a little network of healers and people who could use some healing. I know we have another call coming in. Again, we have 20 seconds left, so shout-outs.
Shout out to my beautiful wife, Cece, and my little terror, Nick. So he's happy I'm home. See you a couple days. I have to get home now.
He was running the roost.
Yeah, he was holding me. I couldn't. You're not leaving already. But and shout out to my mom down at the farm. Pat, keeping it going down there, and
shouts to Vinny listening over at Lab Square.
Vinny at the Lab Square, holding that little fortress down too. So
big time.
You should see you saw the floors. They were incredible.
Those floors. It looks like the fucking Museum of Natural History, dude. Those
the
are some
floors.
floors.
Are shiny. They're so shiny. I couldn't believe it. And I think it was a good show. It was really interesting, and it was also you could see it was we could do a 3-hour show easily on call-ins on this one.
I'd love to just do a Ask Dr. Cohen a question.
You want to
kind
do?
of
You
thing,
guys want to do
know?
some kind of crazy marathon fundraiser telethon
Yeah,
type thing?
Chris is looking.
That would be
stoked.
sweet, where we just
Yeah,
stay
can we
up
do-
and
stay up
ingest
all night?
cannabis.
No, we have people
until-
call in,
Mhm.
give testimonials,
Yeah.
and we fundraise for a cannabis charity.
Mm-hmm.
That
And
could be cool.
stay up for 24 hours.
Sure. We got to stay up.
And
all
give
night.
away CBD.
Yeah. The whole shebang. All right,
You
we're
drink-
way over time right now.
You drink chai, I'll drink beer. And
I'll just cry because that's what
Murphy Murray likes soda.
I mean, we'll be
Murphy
smoking
Murray's
the whole
likes
time.
drinking
soda.
water today.
We'll
I
smoke
know,
the whole time.
in an America
Chocolate.
cup.
And we all have to smoke the entire time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Well,
Sounds like
someone will help me figure that out.
Marathon.
Let me do my shout-outs. I didn't do mine.
Oh, yeah, you
I
did.
just realized.
Do them.
Of course, shout-outs to my brilliant wife, Reese, playing with baby Farron, teaching her mad stuff. She watched this YouTube video about how bad TV is for kids. So now she's we never really let her watch TV anyway, but she doesn't even know, I don't think, what TV is. She knows that phones sometimes have movies of herself on them that everyone's really thinks are cute. But yeah, they're playing all sorts of games all day long, growing her brain. She's standing and crawling any second, and
Did you feed her a lot of hemp seeds yet, or what?
No, can you hook it with some hemp?
The hemp seeds, you can buy them everywhere. You have to buy.
Dude, you
can't
have
do it-
fields of them. You're the hemp
No,
kingpin.
you need the D-hold and all that.
D-hold, I gotta get
hemp.
hemp. I have hemp seeds in my fridge.
Give
the
her
whole
lots of hemp seeds.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Will
should-
that turn
you
my
should
kid
have
into
them
a
too.
terror like yours?
Not terror. He's so
That was
smart.
literally the
He's
word.
so smart. That's
He's
the
so
problem.
smart.
Yeah, you got it.
It's good for their
blueberries,
growing metabolism.
Blueberries and hemp
blueberries and hemp seeds. All right,
All
kiddo, you're gonna get blueberries and hemp seeds, maybe in like some sort of smoothie
Yogurt,
concoction.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yogurt,
there we
that's
go.
it all day, every day.
Yes, shout outs to everybody listening and everyone who called in today, especially. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And reach out to us and let us keep sharing these stories. Peace.
Late.
Bye.